This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by top trainer Dave Coldwell here at York Hall. Dave, a successful night for you and the team. Steven Cairns with a unanimous decision victory over 6 rounds. A bit different from his recent performances, but as said in other interviews, in probably the best way possible. Valuable experience tonight. What did you make of his performance?
I'm over the moon with it, to be honest. I said before the fight, at this stage, when you're in with people that you're supposed to beat, it doesn't make any difference to me whether you're stopping them or you're going distance. Preferably, you get as many rounds as you can banked now before you're stepping up, because it's experience. And when you let off the leash and you're in real fights against real fighters, good fighters, you need that experience, you know. And so for me, that's a valuable 6 rounds for him. He boxed really, really well. But also, there's things there that are the reason why I don't want to let him off the leash yet, because little things that he needs to add to his game that then you'll go, oh, okay, that's you know, and that's what he'll learn from this fight. But overall, he was fantastic. He from being a kid that's always wanted to just like load up on single shots, he's becoming more and more rounded. He's not just a power puncher, a powerhouse. He's very, very strong. He's very, very heavy-handed. And he's not just that now. You know, he's adding to his game. He's getting, you know, so intelligent in there now, and he's very, very young, very, very inexperienced still.
I think you can see the improvements in his game from when you look at his debut to now. You can really see the maturity and the way he's progressed. But when we look at, let's say, the future, I've just asked him where would he like to be in, let's say, the next 12 months, this time next year, and he said he wants to be in some form of title fight. Could you agree with that?
100%, because these international titles are knocking him out over 10 rounds. Perfect, not a problem. Great rounds in the bank to learn, to, you know, over a long distance. You can get good opponents that are going to give you experience, going to give you problems that you've got to solve, that are coming to win titles, you know, themselves. So they're real fights, but you're not having to be let off the leash totally yet. So I see them as valuable, good learning titles. So, you know, we were wanting him to be on 8-rounders a couple of fights ago, but now he'll go to 8-rounders. Get a couple of 8-rounders on his belt, and then, you know, if the right opponents, then we'll do the 10s, and that'll be where he'll be learning his trade before he gets into the real fight. It's a long way to go yet. He's only young. I've got absolutely no intention of rushing him along. You know, it'll all come in good time because he's that good. And sometimes you can be tempted when a fighter you see has got that much potential that you rush him, and then candle kind of burns out a little bit. I don't want that to happen to him because he's got so much potential, and he's got the right attitude as well, right attitude and discipline.
Just very quickly on another fighter in the stable, I know you spoke to my colleague Eamon Khan like very recently on Zoom, but just a quick update on Hopi Price. Obviously, it's coming up to a year since we've last seen him in the ring now. We know that he's had the injury, but how has the recovery process gone? Are we getting closer to seeing him back in the ring?
We hit a bit of a stumbling block with it because, you know, when they take the hip bone out and graft it to the hand, what it did is it left the hip really, really tight. The hips took a lot longer to heal as such, or get back to normal as such. So he's having to have work on that, and then because of that being tight, it kind of, the chain that's going down affected his ankle a little bit, but nothing major. But it just means that he's having to have work done on, and he'll be back hopefully. Well, he will be back before the end of the year, but, you know, ideally it'd be November, but I think more realistically it'll be December, because he's actually lighter than what he was before, and that's because he's not been even be able to grip things, so he's not been able to do his S&C side of things, he's not been able to do any running, not been able to do anything in that terms. So forget about the boxing side of things. So the amount of time that he had off, when we've had him tested and all his measurements done, it's actually lighter than what he should be, like what he would be like coming up to a fight. And so he needs to kind of like get back on his strength and conditioning program and things like that, and then we can take the next stage there, because otherwise you're not going to get, you know, you're not going to get him to be how he was before.
Well, we do hope to see him back in the ring soon. Just very quickly, just to gloss over some of the big topics in the boxing world. Obviously, just over 2 weeks away now from Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. Everyone's minds keep twisting and turning on the main event. When the fight was first announced, everyone said AJ wipes the floor with him. But speaking to a lot of people, as time's gone on, people are starting to really see this as a real 50-50. But how do you see it playing out ultimately in your eyes?
I think it's a real fight. Don't get me wrong, it's a real fight. But if I'm going to go on what I've seen with my own eyes throughout each of his careers, then I'm going to go with Anthony Joshua. I think, would it surprise me if Dubois knocked him out? No, it wouldn't. Do I think it's going to go the distance? No, I don't. Am I 100% sure that Anthony Joshua is going to knock him out? No, I'm not. It's one of those. I think that's a great fight. You know, you've got two very explosive, very big heavyweights. Both guys have got proven record of knocking people out. Both guys have been proven to be beatable. So, what is there not to like there?
A fight on the undercard that I think has gone a little bit under the radar just due to the magnitude of the main event. But Josh Kelly versus Liam Smith, obviously. Yeah, Josh Kelly coming up, you know, risking that number one spot that he had at 154 in the WBO. How do you see that fight going? So it is a real crossroads type of fight, isn't it?
It is. It's a really good fight. I think at this stage of the careers, you could perhaps say, at the face it, you could perhaps say that Josh's speed of foot and hand could be all wrong for Liam. But then it's at 160. So at 160, that is very, very important, I think, in terms of giving Liam, you know, more of a chance, or not more of a chance, but giving him more, you know, more ways that he can win the fight. I think if it had been at 154, I don't think there'd have been anything left of me at that. So at 160 and Josh having to come up, although he looks fantastic, he looks great, if Liam can chew him up, get into that position to chew him up, then it's an interesting fight. But if Josh controls the distance with his feet and his hand speed, then it's going to be a very, very difficult night for Liam, and it could be a frustrating night for Liam. The last fight, you know, that Liam had, it was so blatantly obvious that he went into the fight with an injury. I feel sorry for him because ultimately, because he chose to go in and fight, or he was, I haven't read it, so I don't know, but he felt as though he had no other choice to get in there. But because he went in there and he fought, then people don't really care about that once it's done. You know, that's the unfortunate thing about it. You know, because people just say you're making excuses. But it's blatantly obvious that he wasn't right in that fight, and all he had in there was plenty of bollocks and art. And you know, so if his body's healed and he's got no niggles going in there, then Liam Smith's a quality fighter, and you can't write him off. You know, time catches up on everybody, but you know that Liam Smith was a shell. So it's only the fight before he was chewing up Eubank. So he's not finished, but it's an intriguing fight. It's a very good fight.
Just talking of Eubank, there's a lot of disappointment in the media and around box fans looking at his fight.
He's been around for years, and we're still waiting for the backup of all the boasts, the talks, everything. You know, it's been a very frustrating career. Inactivity, that's not helped him. I don't know. And this fight as well. You know, it's the fight on the whole card that really, not really asked about.
Would it have been nice, obviously, there's been the talk from Sky about Ben Whittaker versus Eubank Jr, and they both said it'd be a really good fight. I know, obviously, they're at very different stages of careers.
Yeah, I mean...
Would it be better to see that over the fight that Eubank Jr has got?
Yeah, I suppose, but... No, it's not. If maybe don't count for anything, he's fighting this guy, you know, and that's who they've gone for, and you can talk it up as much as you want, you know. It's a fight, and you know, it's there to get him active, but is it going to be active because we hear it all the time, you know? I hope it is, because his time's running out.
Is there even more frustration in the fact that he was linked to be fighting Canelo beforehand?
Frustrating in what terms? Because
looking at the opponent.
Because when that fight was made, I was like, how? Why? So I won't. You know, it's great for him, but I'm not going to be too frustrated for you, man, because he's made a hell of a lot of money out of boxing, and he's not really like, you know, he's not really won any major titles, but he's done fantastic out of his career. So I don't feel frustrated for him. I don't feel sorry for him. I think he's clocked the game. You know, he's done a great job. He's living it up. He does exactly what he wants. He's called so many shots with promoters and done this and done that and does what he chooses to do. He's clocked the game. So fair play to him. He's cracked it. I wish I could have done that. I wish any of my fighters could do that. So you can't feel sorry for him. You can't feel frustrated for him. All right, he's not got the depth of career that perhaps some people would like him to have. But if you rewind and you look at his career when he first started, nobody expected him to do. Come on, let's be real. Nobody expected Chris Eubank Jr. to become world champion. When we watched him and he was roaring, he was strong and everything. But nobody expects him to go on to be a world champion, multi-weight champion or whatever. He's had a fantastic career. So fuck feeling sorry for him.
Just moving forward, and lastly from me, obviously we mentioned AJ earlier, but we've seen the talk from Spencer Brown and Eddie Hearn saying, regardless of results in both Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury and Joshua Dubois, that Fury AJ is seemingly to be next. Obviously, people still unsure whether to believe it or not, but let's say in an ideal world, that fight is next and we see that Wembley Stadium next year. Who would you side with to be the winner?
Ask me after they've both fought next.
Everyone says this.
But they both got a fight in front of them. So it's like you've got, you don't know what wear and tear they've got. What they might have absolute tear ups in the next fights, and they might not have much left. And then it's like, or one might have an outstanding performance, have no ammo whatsoever. The other one's in a life and death, and they might go back and say, well, he looked fresh and he didn't. So then you might be changing your mind. Fights like these where they are like great fights, it's quite natural to be. If you've not got no emotional involvement with them, if you're not part of the team or you're not family or whatever, then if you're a complete neutral, it's quite natural to sometimes think this man's going to, sometimes, oh, well, actually, and then when you talk to someone, they're convinced you think, shit, no, actually. But right now, as we are now, before that fight, before they both fight again, if the fight was to happen next and they didn't have an interim fight now, then I would lean with AJ. Because I'm looking at Fury, and unless I see something different in the rematch, he looks like Father Time's caught up on him. And I could be completely wrong. And he could go out there and look $1 million, and then I'd be like, oh shit, he's back being a man. I don't know.
Well, Dave, you mentioned ask you after the fight. I hope you know December 21st, straight after the fight, you will see a nice little WhatsApp message from me. But no, Dave, thank you for your time tonight, and obviously congratulations on Steven again, and we look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thanks,